Is the Tom Green Show. Well, welcome to the show. It's not the Tom Green Show, but it is the Rocky Outcrop Show. Got to be starting something. Here we go. And that's right, back in the live scene, as it were, looking at the Bitcoin charts, and it's got to be starting something. Got to be starting something. Too high to get over. Oh. Too low to get under. Oh. Stuck in the middle. Doody-doo. Got to be starting something. Oh, that's right. Bitcoin has, of course, been listening to Michael Jackson and is right there in this symmetrical triangle formation. If you'd like to see the evolution of this triangle, how about we run through it right now? I'll just move these things out of sight, out of mind, over to the left here, and remind focals what we were looking at t'other day. As a ambulance goes by outside or something like that, there's always got to be starting something. Where is the triangle tool? So what we were looking at the other day was the potential for an ascending triangle, and saying, well, hey, like, actually it was more like this sort of thing. If it were to come out of it just here, it might be front running it slightly, maybe wouldn't therefore get the full measured move. And the measured move off of this then, of course, looked something along these sorts of lines, up the way, whatever, coming in for new highs. So it did break out of it though a little bit early, and then what that turned into, if you just kind of stretch this up the way, is of course a rising wedge. And this rising wedge was going up and up and up and up, and of course then the measured move off of this thing is similar to the one from the ascending triangle before, given the way that this works, of course, with the old triangles there and the measurements from them. And we pretty much got that measured move, you could say, really overall. But what did that do? How could we have possibly have known in at this stage last night that we were looking at a potential turnaround? Well, this line obviously extends down as far as that area there, but if I just drag over to the left, you can see with the two previous highs up there at the 41,500 whatever area, where those were closing at 42,000, and you extended a line between these two highs and then kept going down. Then it intersected nicely with our wedge over here. And if we were to then take the same sort of concept in mind and pop in a wee line between these lows over here, and then stretch it up the way to join up with our triangle, our top here, to form a triangle over here, then of course you see that we have this triangle on the go. And lo and behold, then of course we can remove the ghost of triangles and patterns past here off the chart, and leaves us with where we are right now. Got to be starting something. Got to be starting something. So that's what we're waiting for. Ooh, with the Bitcoin pricing. Ooh, stuck in the middle. Do. And it leaves us with a different measured move target than before. If we just pop this in and then of course draw this up the way, what are we looking at? The log chart is what I've got on at the minute, by the way. That's why that measured move line seems to shrink as it goes towards the top side, with these scales on the right being, of course, in the logarithmic format, making this shrinky winky. So it brings you all the way up towards 52k, doodle-doo. And that of course would be nice if that were to happen for the for Zoner's prediction, but that's a little bit ahead of time, you see, in terms of Zoner's crystal ball over there. Shout out to Zoner if he's in the chat at the minute. I'll check in with all you chatty folks, chatty Cathys, in not too long. Of course, if we were to drop down towards the downside, then of course it looks like it stretches out even further with the old measuring move, and that takes you down towards 23,254. Just to bring that into the context of the overall market, if we look down towards the 23,000 area, 23,000 whatever in this 24,000 section here, then you can see there's a gap on the old CME, the coronal mass ejection chart, the chart which is of course drawn together by Russian cosmologists who of course have got their handle on the Bitcoin pricing, and it's really quite something to see. Here we have the potential turnaround then, and it's really lovely actually, you know, discuss it. Whoops. It was discussing this yesterday night, for instance, with TradeSpot, when we drew this in, of course, the prices being up around about this price here, and looking at it and saying, well, what do we have here as well at the same sort of time on the 4 hour chart. Is this a Tony Vase style number 9 on the TD sequential? Of course, it wasn't our man Tone that invented that, but you know, he likes a bit of the old TD. And where do we find ourselves now? When we cross down below the 9 period moving average there, the simple moving average, then of course we came on down towards these lows. That's in around about 34 sub 35k area, and maybe we're going towards the top side now. And if we did do that and we had a target in mind for it, it could be sort of the 39,000s again, giving you hecadecals of trading you know, ranges here to be played with, looking at over 10% moves, you know, 15% from the top to bottom there. And of course, of course, in terms of the high, the low to the high, to another 15% there, and all that good stuff. So then, of course, the title of the video, well, the title of the video is Rocky Outcrop Show. Welcome to it, by the way. If you've not hit that like button yet, then go ahead, do that. Just giving you a wee reminder. I'm sure you wouldn't want to leave the channel without having done that. So in terms of what else were we talking about there? Well, actually, I don't know. I guess maybe I'd summed this up already. What else we could be looking at just right now is we've got this still the negative trend on the go with regards to the Bitcoin pricing, and that is gaining a little bit of strength, and it's understandable while we are obviously consolidating as we go in, and it's reasonable to anticipate that you could come in with lower highs again if that were to be the case. Now, if we do go on and break out past this zone, then of course, yes, the title of the video thumbnail says breakout on it. So yeah, if we were to be doing that, then of course that would happen at around about the 40k area. So bearing in mind that a move upward outside of the triangle in terms of just trying to get the whole measured move is 30%. There is the potential for breakouts or fake outs. That's actually drawn in wrongly in terms of the percentage. It's not, you know, it's whatever, because whatever. No, it's fine. No, it was correct. Nice. In terms of getting that 15% as well, where could that take you up towards that sort of 46,000? And we know that there's a few targets up there, higher up above, based on various doodads in the pricing, and one of them is the Fibonacci retracement. Now, just to keep things nice and simple, hope you've appreciated in terms of the simplicity and yet the advanced level that we're looking at in terms of today's technical analysis. You know, we're giving this a really thorough rundown in terms of what we're looking at with it from a bunch of different angles here. At the same time, you know, I'm explaining out the history, but at the same time, I'm hopefully keeping it all relatively accessible for everybody. So the three targets up the way, if you were looking at them just in terms of the most recent, and this is roughly drawn in as well, you could do with being done a bit better, but the three targets towards the top side there really coming out the 1.272, the 1414, the 1618. You know, you're talking 45, 47, well, 40, whatever, 49,000 or so, and of course that ties in fairly well with any sorts of moves that you get out of this thing up as far as, you know, as far as the ultimate target up there, with plenty of opportunities to be taking profits. Now, if you were to go towards the downside, what kind of downside targets could you be looking at? Well, first off, you know, bearing in mind fake out zone coming in here at the 236 in there at 33,000, so just to bear this in mind that you're going to be going down past this area first off, before you could really say that you've not just been just tempting, you know, tempting the diagonal angle lords to change it around slightly and still just be fine. And then afterwards, you know, you're looking down towards these targets, and bearing in mind that in here at this blue line at 26,000 would be a very, very easy area for it to turn around at. There's a couple of ways to measure this out from in terms of Fibonacci extensions as well towards the downside, the same way we did towards the top, and they come in at around about the 1272, 1414, 1618. They are 27,000, 26,500, 23,500, and that would bring you down towards those ultimate targets of this measured move, etc, etc. And that is the overall technical analysis for you. So let's just, you know, bring the oscillators up and give them a little bit of time here on screen, and you're looking at this trend. Now, how does that actually shape up with regards to the higher time frames? And as you can see, we're kind of, you know, while the strength of trend remains in place as yet with regards to the overall upward movement that we've had previously, we've seen the typical rejection in around about areas where you would expect to see a pullback, and then we actually have had decent sized pullbacks, resulting in us still in the effective chop territory there while the strength of trend remains in place. Now, of course, this is the expanded version of the same story. If we were to go on down the way here, then things get kind of, into that period where you could see greater and continued volatility as we try to sort of shake this out. But if we don't do that and just kind of continue towards the top side, then this would resume with a business as usual thrust towards the upside, bearing in mind that we could be looking even as deep as something like what we saw on the 11th of December there in terms of movements on that particular one. And on the weekly time frame, you can see that it's just strength and business as usual. However, there is the case to be drawn in here that we have come up above the red line on the weekly time frame, and as you can see, whenever that happens with either the ADX or indeed one of the DMs, then you're looking at the chances of there being a pullback fairly strongly. So we're going to keep our eye out at that blue level, and let's all bear in mind as well the ultimate final sort of story with everything that support in the past, when it's broken becomes resistance, support, yada yada yada. So just dropping on down the way, sticking something like the 1 hour time frame on, hitting the auto button and bringing this up full screen, we can see that we've had a degree of rejections in around about concepts like that. We can see that this could have been considered resistance, obviously then support thereafter, and get the rejection from that. And on the small term time frame, you could say that we've got this head and shoulders which has been playing out towards the downside as we approached up there towards the top. And of course, looking at this, then you'd expect to see the likelihood of something looking like this here on the RSI down below, as we do indeed see. And the stochastics, of course, they're pointing towards the downside with this triangular effort here. Are they ready to spring back up? Well, of course they would be, but everything's primed in terms of that. We don't have the extreme volatility on the go right here. Wouldn't expect to see so much because, of course, what we could see when we have it happen is at the extreme. Well, it's not happened so far in terms of the DMI here. And that's due to the strength of trend never having managed to get so deep. It would have needed a bit of sideways action in advance, so we've not had any of that. We're just oscillating along nicely, and that's where we have it, dropping down towards the 15-minute time frame and just kind of zooming back out again. The current sort of idea is that if we do go down below this 382 on a sort of fairly high basis, then if we don't find support at 34,000, then of course the next target is going to be that 32,675 area. Likewise, towards the top side, if we want to start kind of undoing the damage of this small time frame head and shoulders, the next area we're looking to is 37,500. These are numbers we've spoken about in the recent past, and it's no surprise to be back on target with them yet again. And so just actually going to turn off this heater half below me because I've probably providing a degree of background noise that's not wanted on the channel. Hope everybody's doing well. There's your technical analysis for Bitcoin. We will do some more brief technical analysis for the other coins that we look at. Keeping good time so far here. Haven't explained everything really that I want to explain with regards to the chart. Only things that I haven't mentioned are to the things like the potential for this lowering of the price points while we have the increase of the lows here coming in higher, as the MACD showing them being lower gives you that idea of course, hidden bullish divergence, kind of confirming the bigger storyline that we're looking at here as we look on the small time frame. Suppose I should give this a little bit more real estate on the screen if I'm going to be talking about it. And there's that, and that of course would probably tie up with some sort of really dinky wee time frame wedge on the go just there now. And then in terms of the top side, you're seeing the same scenario when I go up a time frame with that high and the following subsequent lower high coming in here with this higher high in terms of the top side here. If you're looking at this as being a sort of downward trend, and all determined by perspective. It's just like nuclear physics, or down there at the quantum level. Whoops, what am I trying to do there? And speaking of which, then in terms of EMAs, I really didn't want to do a technical analysis as deep as this, but it's been so simple all the way along. I think you can follow along with it and kind of learn from looking at it. In terms of the EMAs, I've just popped these other set on that I've got, which is also missing a whole bunch. In terms of the EMAs, they're not going to get a look in right now in this episode because we're cool. We've talked about it, but that's cool. Excellent. How's everybody doing in the chat there? It's good to see everyone. Is going to pop this onto live chat on my screen so I don't miss out on anything. Just see that Navanethan was back in here first yet again. K-Doc coming in with second place. Nice one. Always come second. Just like England taught us to do. Well done, K-Doc. Navanethan, Lamau, top lad. Great to see everybody chatting there. David Rodriguez, Alvarez, nice to have you here, buddy. Good to have you here. Hello, hello. And yeah, we're seeing Ethereum and Bitcoin having dropped a bit. This could be your sort of get out of jail card, I suppose, that we're talking about right now live on the show. Welcome to everybody that you hear. If you haven't hit the like button yet, I would really appreciate it. If you haven't shared my content with your friends, then come on, a friend of yours is a friend of ours. Hey. Nice to see the chat that's going on in there. And of course, then we have Artie Pyle joining in to say hello, Outcropticians. Everything's going along really smoothly, everybody. It's good to have you here with us for the show today, with the highs so far in Bitcoin pricing today being up as size 39,700 and the lows down there at 34,500, making trading really, interesting in around these times if you're willing to just go with the flow at the minute. And of course, that's Bitcoin, and we are expecting it to be starting something. It's got to be starting something some point soon, as it listens to Michael Jackson. But it's whether about at some point whether these highs are too high to get over, and these lows too low to get under, with that stuck in the middle song. That's of course Michael Jackson. I keep on singing that there for the laughs. Okay, so that's cool. Welcome to the show, everybody. And at the 16 minute 45 second